Attention YouTube reviewer, the following video is filmed on a private gun range by a firearms expert. All firearms are handled responsibly and at no point are any bystanders present or ever at risk. The following video also contains no footage of full auto firearms, bump stocks, firearm modifications, or firearm ammunition cells as defined by YouTube's community guidelines. This includes our outro. In addition, the content in this video based around restoring and repairing this rifle has been cleared as fully monetizable by YouTube. Alright guys, welcome back. Today we are going to part 4 of the restoration series on this Mannlicher rifle supplied by RTI. So the last time you saw this was just before I went on vacation. That's been just about a month or so now at this point, maybe a little bit before, a little longer than a month. So basically what this has been is on the dashboard of my Jeep in the driveway here in the Texas heat for well, a month now at this point, wrapped in paper towels. So what we're going to do is going to tear it on open, see how much of the cosmeline melted out of the stock, hopefully quite a bit, and then we're going to take this into the garage and we're going to be using a stripper that's made specifically for antique furniture and wood to try to remove as much oil and cosmeline from the stock as possible so I can stain it and then oil it up with boiled linseed oil. So before we get started about that, I wanted to thank our sponsor for this video, and that is Royal Tiger Imports. They were gracious enough to supply me with this rifle for this series, and they're working with me on this series right here, and hopefully, with my fingers crossed, I'll be able to work with them in the future as well. So please check out their website. They got all kinds of great collectibles and antiques, as well as some PoE type things as well. And they also just got in a shipment of FAL parts. It's a mixed bag from what I understand. I think they do have some complete rifles as well. I'm not 100%. I haven't checked the website in a good minute. So check them out. Link and everything's right here. And support them, the people who support us. So let's get into it. So as of right now, they just got a big shipment in of parts kits from the Ethiopian cache. They've got Israeli light and heavy barrel FAL kits in right now, and they are a good price. They actually are charging close to some of the kits that have less of the parts are about half of what I paid for my kit last year or a year or so when I bought my kit. So they are relatively affordable at the time, and they have different levels of kits. Some have less parts, some have more parts. So they definitely got that in, and then they got some other parts kits in as well as some other Pew stuff. So please check them out and check out the website for all the collectibles, historic artifacts, and Pews that they have. Now let's get into this. Now I am going to put on gloves because I don't want to get cosmeline on my hands. This stuff is pretty heavily oiled. I'm hoping I am able to strip a lot of this oil out of this stock when I get in there. Basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be hitting it with rags yeah. So first off we're off the side. We have the upper handguard, which did not draw much out, to be honest. So that could be both a good sign and a bad sign. It could mean that a lot of the oil, a lot of the stuff that's on here is more on the surface and not so much caked into the stock itself. When I did my FAL stock and my PPSH 41 before I pulled it all apart, there was quite a bit of oil that had leached out when I did this with those stocks. So I'm not 100% sure whether or not this is a good thing yet, that I'm not seeing a lot of oil soak through. I mean, the stock right now is physically quite warm, so I forgot how many paper towels I put on this. That's why I'm out of paper towels. Ooh, I mean, it's right now. It feels the stock is easily over 100 degrees right now, but you can see not much came out. So, okay then. Well, that didn't work quite as good as I want, but that's also a good sign, because that means a lot of what's here is on the surface, and it's surface oil. It's not necessarily soaked in oil and cosmoline, because a lot of that would have leached out with the amount of heat that it's been under and for the time it's been in that heat. So, all right, well, it is what it is. So, yeah, you can see some of it's coming off with rubbing. So that's kind of a good sign. I think once we start getting the I'm gonna save all this paper towel and use it here in the garage in a few minutes as well. I'm not letting any of that go to waste. Okay, well, like I said, this could be looked at as good or bad. The fact that not much of this stuff came off with heat. I think this is going to possibly be fairly decent once I get into it. I think before, ooh, gotta be gentle there. I think before I really get into the stuff here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get out a brush and just kind of clean out here inside of the channel. So, yeah, some of that stuff's falling out. Just so there's not so much of that stuff that's going to be causing contamination when I'm cleaning here. So, let me open this up here. Grab our toothbrush and our wire brush right here. See how well the toothbrush handles some of this stuff. And I'll probably have to use the wire brush. And like I said, I'm just trying to loosen up some of this dirt and stuff here. Just so none of it bleeds over. This here is where a lot of this really nasty stuff ends up collecting, is inside of the stock itself. You see, quite a bit is coming out. Okay, set you here. Now there is, on the band here, quite a bit. Now I'm not too worried about scratching up the wood right now. I'm going to hit this thing multiple times with the steel wool, just to help kind of even out the grain. And before I stain, if you look here with how cracked this part is here, I'm probably going to go through and try and see what I can do about fortifying that. And even right now when I'm brushing, I'm going to leave it completely supported here. Like I said, I'm only doing this to get some of the caked on stuff off, so I don't have to scrub so much. The stripper that I'm using is kind of expensive, so I don't want to have to go buy another jug if I can avoid it. Okay, I'm thinking this is actually going to turn out really well. I think what I'm going to do, though, is, at least on this upper handguard, because it is such thin metal and it does have cracks, what I'm probably going to do is, after it's completely stripped of all the oil and stuff, I might come in and try to do a thin, really thin layer of epoxy or wood glue on the inside of this here and let it soak in, and then sand it down just to try to reinforce this wood. And then here on this upper band here, you can see the line where the band itself comes across here. And where this comes out a little bit, I might actually cut this flush with the band so it looks a little bit better and it's not all cracked up. Now on the front of the stock here itself, this one seems much better. It doesn't look like it's anywhere near as risk of cracking or anything like that, so I don't think I'll have to do anything with that. Okay, well, let's go out to the garage, and you can see here all that stuff that came out. So we're gonna head out to the garage and start doing the smelly chemical stuff. So, all right, well, I can't do anything about the bars going across the screen, because that is unfortunately what seems to be the camera shutter speed seems to be at around the same wavelength that these lights are on, so that's great. Can't do anything about that. Anyways, I can get my phone out of my pocket here. So this is the stuff I'm using. It's Cuts It, Liquid Stripper, Antique Furniture, and Fine Wood. So I'm hoping this stuff's gonna work pretty good. So we're gonna kind of just work some. All right, so I can't do anything about these lines if they show up in the video. It just happens to be that the camera shutter speed seems to be around the same as what the frequency for these lights are, so that's why we're getting that kind of little light strobing effect. If it doesn't show up on camera, well then that's good. But on my view screen here, I have little lines moving vertically up and down. Anyway, so this is the stripper I'm using. It's Cuts It, Antique Furniture and Fine Wood, for detailed surfaces and all that stuff like that. I picked this stuff because, well, this is antique and fine wood, so I'm going to be pretty much putting small amounts of this on the rag. Let me shake this stuff up. Oh yeah, this stuff smells pretty strong. Yeah, this would have smelled up the entire room. So I'm going to be putting small amounts of this on this rag here and just rubbing my wood and seeing how this works. I'm hoping that these gloves are chemical resistant. I'm probably going to use the paper towel because this is actually catching on the wood grain pretty good, so I don't want to. So let's up here. Okay. Kind of a, okay, well, let's just kind of pour some on here. I don't really wanted to do it like that, but I think it's going to take forever if I'm trying to just do what's on the rag. I was hoping that the heat would remove much more of this stuff out, and I'm hoping this stuff works. I mean, it's removing stuff, but I'm wanting to get back to blonde wood. I'm not sure if this stuff's going to do the trick or not. We're going to see and find out. It does look like it's starting to remove it quite a bit here. So I'm just going to keep rubbing on it and see how this goes. Now it does say that this stuff does take, you know, like 20 minutes to strip paint, 15 minutes to strip varnish, 15 minutes to strip lacquer, 15 minutes to strip shellac. So I'm not sure how long it's going to take to start stripping out the cosmoline and oils here. I'm just going to rub it in nice and good and let it just start doing its thing here. It certainly is starting to take some stuff off, but how much is it going to take off in the end? I don't know yet. Now I'm not too concerned about the underside because you don't see that. I just want the top side to be done up the best I can. So we're gonna get this going here. I'm gonna wipe this a little bit more, set it off the side, and then let's get the stock. And let's start rubbing some of this stuff on the stock. Trying to get a coat of this on the stock so we can start soaking this stuff out. This stock does look like it has a beautiful grain on it. So I think if we're able to get this thing down as much as I want it to, as far as getting off the cosmoline and getting it down to blonde wood, I think the stain is going to look very good on this. And I'll show you what stain I'm planning on using a little later on, once we get some of this stuff, you know, hopefully stripped out here. But I am wanting to go with a lighter color for the wood, so it helps the metal stand out a little bit more. And it seems to be working much better on the stock than it is on that front handguard. The front handguard's got a lot of oil soaked into it. If anything, this is going to take me a good long while, so I'm going to go ahead and come back to y'all in a little bit once I have done some more rubbing down on this stuff here, and we'll see where we're at. All right, so the upper handguard, what I did is I wrapped it in a paper towel and soaked the paper towel in the cleaner, and this way it can soak for a good while and let it kind of get in. You kind of see how much I've been able to wipe off of the stock as of so far. I'm still letting it soak in here and there. I'm talking to a guy right now currently about trying to get a mud motor kit for my boat for this duck season, which has already started, but I'm probably not going to get a chance to actually go duck hunting until the second half after the split. So I'm trying to kind of prep and get ready and get, you know, better thing. My little outboard is fine and all, but I really want a mud motor so I can not worry about getting stuck or busting prop pins and stuff like that. But you can see this part of the project, it just takes a lot of time just wiping down, letting it soak in, draw out the oil. You can see some spots is drawing it out more than others. So I'm probably going to be doing this for a couple hours. So I'll check in regularly with y'all just to kind of see how things are going. So, all right, guys. So I wasn't really all that happy about the progress I was making with that stuff. So I went to Lowe's and I bought this stuff here. This is a stripper that's made specifically for removing oil-based finishes off of wood decks and stuff like that. So we're going to try this here. If this doesn't work, then my only other option is going to be using hot water in the purple powder, which I really don't want to do because that's going to cause the grain to expand. And I really don't want to have to do any sanding on this, or no major sanding at least. So I'm going to dry off as much of the other cleaner off of the wood here. Set it off to the side. I'm gonna set you over here. I'm gonna set my steel wool over here. I'm going to take this stuff here. It's gonna get tossed over here in my trash pile. I'm gonna try to just remove a bunch of this stuff out here. I don't really want to mix stuff the best I can. Okay. So this stuff here says to apply, wait 15 minutes, and then start to clean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the exact same thing I was doing earlier with the upper handguard here, and I'm going to wrap it in paper towel like so. Then I'm going to soak the paper towel. Oh, this stuff is definitely different. It's thicker. So I'm going to make sure I get this nice and soaked in here to the paper towel. Ooh, yeah, this stuff almost feels like aircraft paint remover. So that's a good sign. That could mean that it's going to stick really well. Now let's take some of this stuff here, and we're just gonna wipe on a generous coat. Now the other stuff felt like a solvent, more of a solvent than this stuff. I don't, if any of y'all have ever used aircraft paint remover, it's almost gel like this. So that's a big difference here, and it's already working better. Now I'm not sure how well this stuff is going to remove in the long run. Yeah, it's already. The paper towel seems to not hold up to this stuff anywhere near as good as the other solvent. So we're just gonna keep coating you nice and good everywhere. Yeah, this stuff's definitely working better right off the bat. I can already tell. I mean, I've got more of the cosmoline and stuff out of the wood in just a few seconds just applying this stuff than I did in an hour of scrubbing with the other stuff. So let me make sure there's a nice good solid coat here. Now I may use that other stuff to remove this from the wood. Let me get a little bit more here. So if this stuff's anything like aircraft paint remover, which it certainly feels like it, you want a nice, thick, wet coat. So it can really soak in. The stuff says on the bottle, penetrates to strip fold finish, prep for fresh start. So I'm hoping this stuff is going to do exactly that. Soak in nice and good, draw out the oils and whatnot, and then allow us to wipe it all off. Okay, well that is coated nice and good. Oh, there's a little bit right here. That is coated nice and good. We are going to, you know what, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do inside of, just a little bit on the inside of the channel here. Not a lot, just a little bit here. All right, well, we're going to let that sit for 15-20 minutes, and then I will check back with y'all when I get ready to start wiping this down. Already, this stuff looks like it's doing a much better job than the other stuff. So I will include a link in the description for this Valspar stripper. I paid $21 for it. So, all right, guys. Well, I'll check back with you in about 20 minutes, give or take. All right, guys, I'm back. I have been gone for maybe 20 minutes or so, and I can tell you right now, just from what I see, that this stuff is working awesome. So I'm going to glove back up because this stuff is much harsher than the stuff I was using. I got a little bit on my hand, and within probably 30 seconds, it was starting to burn. So you do got to wear gloves with this stuff. Let me take this fresh paper towel, get a little bit on, and let's just start wiping her down. It is very much so taking this stuff away pretty good. This gets a little bit on my arm. No. Okay, so let's take the steel wool and see how much the steel wool is gonna help pull up. The stuff should be drawing it to the surface. The steel wool should help kind of more or less scrape it off. Maybe, I don't know. That's not doing what I want it to do. Let's dot to the side. Let me get this nice and wet. Just get back to wiping here. Now, of course, this stuff is, the cosmoline that's in this wood is much more thick and baked in than what this stuff is really made for. I mean, this stuff's made for, you know, deck stain and deck coatings and stuff like that. So using on something like cosmoline like this that's been soaking into this wood for a century, more or less, you know, it's gonna take a while for it to really lift this stuff out. But you can see it is certainly removing more of it than the last stuff was, for sure. So I'm gonna keep cleaning this here. Let's take a look at how our handguard is, because the handguard's been soaking the longest. This stuff almost like dissolves the paper towels. I mean, you can see it's taking quite a bit off here. I think we're at a dry spot right there, but let's see. Yeah, I don't know why this stuff's breaking apart the paper towel so much. God, I got some more of that crap on my arm. Yeah, in a second I'm gonna have to go wipe that off. So I'm just gonna let's see. I mean, it's taking it out for sure. It's just there's so much of it in the wood. There's so much. I'm gonna use this rag here that is really soaked with this stuff. I'm going to put another coat on the stock. Just a nice wet sloppy coat here. Now I would not, this stuff may look like lube, I would not recommend using it as lube. You're gonna have a bad time. It feels like I'm rubbing like KY all over this stock. Nuts. Alrighty. Okay, we're gonna let that sit on there again. We're going to rub this down again like this. I just got some on my leg somehow. I don't know how, but I did. So I'm gonna put a nice, another thick coat on here. Okay, I'm going to let it sit a little bit while longer. I'm gonna get the stuff off of my arm and leg so I don't burn my skin. So I'm pretty sure this stuff is really caustic, and I don't want any chemical burns. God, this stuff is, it's slimy. So I will see y'all in another 15 minutes or so. All right, guys, so this is just slow going. I'm wiping stuff off. I know it still looks pretty dark right now, but that's just because it's still damp. When it dries out, it does lighten up quite a bit. So basically what I'm doing at this point is I'm just doing a section with the hardcore stripper, the Valspar, and then wiping it as clean and dry of the Valspar as I can, and then with clean rags using the other stripper, liquid stripper, to try to run even more of the stuff off. It's just taking its time. I might end up still having to finish this off with purple power and hot water. I really don't want to go that route because it's gonna screw with the grain of the wood. But I mean, it is what it is. But you know, it's taking its time getting it out. Just taking a lot of elbow grease to really get this stuff stripped off. And I got mosquitoes biting my ankles and my legs. Oh, I got more shit on my arm. Oh, I mean, you can see where it's starting to strain it out and stuff like that. I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to be finished for the day here in a little while. I'm not going to be finished today with this. I'm going to probably do a nice thick coat of it, of the heavy stripper, and just let it sit until tomorrow afternoon when I get off of work and I can come mess with it some more. And let's see exactly what I can do with it as far as getting it enough to where I'll be happy. It's basically what I'm trying to do. Is I would like to get this stripped down to straight bare wood, but I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to do that. Oh god, it's got a bunch of that shit all up my arm. But you can see here on the upper handguard, it's starting to get out. And obviously it's a smaller piece of wood, so you know it can soak down and penetrate a lot deeper. Okay, let's get a fresh piece of towel. First I'm gonna wipe that shit off my arm. Let's try to dry this off the best I can. It takes a while for this to dry out, but of course, you know, don't help that I've got it all over my hands as well. But let's try to dry this out some more. It's a process for sure. Anyways, guys, I'm going to wipe this clean, put another fresh coat of the Valspar on there, and I'm going to let that sit overnight until tomorrow, and then I'm going to be done for the day. And then I will check back in with y'all tomorrow, and we'll see where we're at, and hopefully, just hopefully, we're gonna have this thing almost ready to be stained. You can see some of the spots here where it is drying out a lot. It is starting to lighten up quite a bit. Remember, the wood is also pretty dark as well from this stuff being soaked into the wood, so it's not going to be truly as light as it can be until it's completely dry. And then once it's complete, I got it as clean as I'm going to get it. I am still going to let this thing air dry for a couple days before I stain it. So it'll probably be the weekend or so before I actually start looking at staining this thing. See, can I get in there, get some of that stuff out? Ugh. We'll see. The process, like I said in the last video, you know, stuff like this takes time and elbow grease. You're not going to get this exactly perfect, you know, on the first day. Clearly not with this one here. Like I said, you know, this stuff's been soaking with cosmoline for probably close to 100 years. So I'm going to pour some more of this in, if I can even get a good enough grip on it to do it with these gloves. There we go. Cap came off. Alright. Let's put another healthy coat of this stuff on. That should be more than enough. And you can see, I mean, it's doing its job. It's pulling out. That's not big enough. It's pulling out the oil and whatnot like it's supposed to. Just there's so much of the oil that it's just taking forever. I mean, you really, I don't think anyone understands what 100 years of oil does to wood and how long it takes. I mean, you can see just wiping this stuff down is just still. It's over here. And also, you know, you have to realize when I'm rubbing this stuff in, I'm also kind of just smearing the oil around that it draws out as well. So, you know, I mean, it is what it is. So, let me do a nice heavy coat here on all the wood, and then that's gonna be it for today, because I am getting eaten up by mosquitoes and it's dinner time. So I'm going, and I got people texting me as well, and I'm not touching my phone. My hands are covered with this crap. You just see, it makes me want to just wipe it clean. Anyways, guys, I will see y'all hopefully tomorrow when we get back to this. So, all right, guys, welcome back. We are on day 2 of the stock cleaning process, and if you look here, we are looking actually pretty good from what I can tell. I'm gonna clear out all of my stuff right here. Try to wipe out a lot of the old the other contaminants that are in here. That way I can start going back and doing this again. But I'm very happy where we're at. I want to get this a little bit lighter, so I'm just going to keep working at it for the rest of the day, and then the end of the day I'm going to do one last coat of the Valspar stripper, let that sit overnight, and then I think tomorrow it will be ready just to start drying and for me to start messing with that other that handguard. But I'm going to sit here and I'm going to listen to the Unsubscribed podcast and get this working. So I will see y'all in the next update in just a little bit. Alrighty, guys, so here's the next update. I know the stock looks really dark. What I've done is I've got it kind of standing up and propped up, and the reason I'm doing that is to kind of allow all this stuff really work down, because the way this stuff seems to be working is not so much as you know, you put it on and then you wipe it off. It seems to be working the most effectively by leaving it on there real thick and just letting everything that's drawn out of the wood just kind of just run down off of the stock. So that's what I'm going to do for a while, is I'm just going to let it run down for, you know, about half an hour, wipe it off, put a fresh coat on, and just rinse and repeat, and see where we're at in a little while. So I'll see you on the next check-in. Alright, guys, checking in for the next checkup. Now you see here I've kind of rigged up my setup a little bit more. Doing vertically, the thing that I was noticing was all the cosmoline and stuff that was soaking out of the wood at the top was having to run its way down the entire length of the stock before falling off. So I went back to laying it down like this. I got it upside down. I got it kind of propped up on a piece of bar in there, but it's still soaking inside of the Valspar. And then what I've been doing, it's been taking this rag here and just brushing on a nice thick coat like so, because this stuff just seems to work better if you just let it just sit, absorb, you know, draw out whatever is in the wood, and then run down. And I'm still getting some stuff that's soaking down, the dripping on my workbench here, but I don't care that much because it's a workbench. So, you know, I don't care that it's gonna have stains on it. But as you can see, quite a bit has ran off just since I've flipped it over and done this right here. So I think that's what I'm gonna do, is I'm just gonna let it sit like this here, and then probably about once an hour or so, or once every couple hours, I'm gonna come back, wipe on a new layer of it, and just let it keep running and dripping off. Now I am concerned I might end up with a dark spot right here at the bottom where all this stuff is seeping into, and I might tilt this up at a slightly higher angle and then find something that I can put that bottom end on as well, so it's not in the liquid and it just drains off. So I'll probably do that here after I get off the camera, and then I'll check back with y'all in on the next checkout. Alright, guys, we're back on day 3. I put a couple of coats on it overnight. Like I said, let it just drip off and everything. As you can see, it's actually worked pretty well. The upper handguard still has some dark stuff on there. That's because it had slid down and was soaking in that all night. So I've got to redo that. I have it up here. The rest of the stock, as you can see, the bottom looks pretty good. There's still some dark stuff there, and of course on the inside. So I'm going to do 1 or 2 more coats today, just let it sit and do the same thing. Now there's one more thing I'm going to do with this stock after I'm done with it. So after I do the another coat or 2 of the Valspar, I'm going to clean it with this let it air dry overnight, and then I'm going to actually wipe it down with bleach a couple times because I want this wood to be slightly lighter than it is right now for the stain. Because I'm going to be using this Minwax. It is red mahogany, and I do want this stock to be lighter, but I do want it to be a little. I want the darkness. I want to be able to control the darkness from the stain, not necessarily from the you know, leftover oils and stuff that are left in the wood, because there is inevitably going to be some, and then even the birds a lot outside. Even the linseed oil is going to darken the wood just a little bit. So I want it to be really light, and I want to be able to control the darkness by the stain itself. So I'm going to go ahead, apply another coat right now, and then we will see what's going on tomorrow. So what I do want to do is I do want to find something to lean this wood up on here that's going to give it kind of a little something more to drain off of. Okay, that's fine. Alright, so I'll put this stuff inside of a container so I can wipe it on separately, because I don't want to contaminate the wood further with the dirty stripper. The dirty stripper. So we're going to just soak just a little bit of this in here, and I will probably place this here inside so I can drip it over. Okay, now we're just going to do a nice sloppy coat here. When you're doing this stuff, remember, if it's not enough lube for your woman, then it's not enough of the solvent. So that's my kind of motto here. Is just I'm just slathering it down and letting it get nice and drenched with this stuff. Oh, and of course I drop it right back in there. So of course this end down here is where it really needs it, so I'm just gonna make sure this is nice and heavy here. I might put more on that. Let's see here. So, and something else I may do as well when I'm completely done, I might put a little bit in here and prop it up and just let it channel on down out here and out the end of this. But I don't need to do that right this second. So put this here. So I want to get this in here first. Now remember, the inside of this really isn't my concern. I do want to make sure it's not working well for me. Trying to not spill this while balancing everything here. Tell you what, let me put this in here. Okay, that works a little bit better. But I do want to make sure that, see where it's getting real dark here from having this stuff, the cosmoline drip down on it and kind of collect. I want to make sure that I get this real heavy here. Okay, now we're gonna flip this over, put you up here, and then I want to make sure it's balancing on this toothbrush, because I want it completely off of this wood. Okay. Now let's slide this wood all the way down here. Balancing act kind of sucks. Okay, there we go. So now we can go back, and you can see just that little bit of time it being upside down was enough to get some of the old cosmoline that just dripped off the top to drip down. So he's gonna lather this up nice and good, and I just contaminated that. I wish I had a brush for this, but I do not have a paintbrush anymore. You know what? This can go down here and stop it. So, but otherwise than that, the stripper's doing a pretty good job. Like I said, I do want to bleach it just because I want to make sure that this is nice and white and it's going to take the stain very well. So like I said, I think this is probably going to be the last or second to last coat I do. I might do another one here later on tonight. Last night I did about 2 coats after I got off with y'all, just because I wanted to make sure that it was nice and I had a good coat on it while I was at work today. Now I'm still debating on what I'm going to do about this piece. I am definitely going to cut that off, that end piece. But as far as actually strengthening it up, I wish I had a vacuum chamber, because I would lay it upside down, draw a vacuum on it with some wood glue on it, and then release the pressure back into it so the wood would absorb the wood glue. But I can't do that. Better yet would be able to impregnate it with resin. And that is something I do want to do in the future, is I want to build a good vacuum chamber, and that way I can impregnate wood stocks with resin in order to make them much stronger, especially with these old pieces that are really hard to replace and are really brittle. This piece here would really benefit from being resin impregnated, because it would just simply make it to where it would just be almost unbreakable afterwards. I'm gonna go ahead and put a coat on the inside here, just to let that have a little bit extra to soak down. So I'm gonna do that coat there. All right, so that's all I'm gonna do right now, guys. I will probably check in with y'all here, and maybe probably tomorrow, to be honest. I'm not going to film these other 2 coats, and I'm going to be going to the movies a little later on, so I'm not exactly going to be here messing with this as much as I did last night. I am expecting that I'm probably going to end up with a dark spot right over here at the back side, and I might have to treat that dark spot with the purple power and hot water to get it out, really. But I might do 1 coat of that anyways, before I bleach it, to try to get as much of this stuff out and as much of the oils off the surface, so the bleach can be bleaching just the surface of the wood. I've been wanting to avoid using water and purple power, even though I have used it before on wood stocks. The wood stocks I used it on were shorter, smaller stocks, like my PPS H41 and then my PPS 4352. Small wood stocks. I didn't want to put wood on all this small stuff here, because I was water on all this smaller stuff here, because I was worried about the water creeping into it, causing the wood to expand, causing cracking. And then also I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to raise the grain that much and take away any of the dings, and then me having to sand and stuff afterwards. I was trying to avoid all that as much as possible. This stuff here is working great. So probably what I'll do is after this is done, I'll rinse it off with, try to clean it with that stuff. I'll hit it with a fresh pad of steel wool. Then if there's any more dark spot down here, I'll probably try to hit that with purple power and water, let that fully dry, and then we'll brush on a thin layer of bleach and just let it air dry. See how light we can get it, kind of work on how light I want the wood. I really would like the wood to be somewhat close to the color of this pine over here, you know, kind of a yellowy white. That way I can work that dark mahogany, that red mahogany, to get the color that I really want. I would like this thing to end up no darker than this is right now with the stuff on it. I would actually like it a little bit lighter than this. Because I'm really wanting a lighter color stock, because most of the surplus rifle stocks I have, with the exception of my Arasaka and my Kakarno, all have dark wood stocks. So I want something that's a little bit lighter. But yeah, anyways, I will check back in with y'all either later on or tomorrow, whenever I'm going to be doing the bleaching portion of this stock. So I'll see y'all next time, and see you in a little bit. All right, guys, welcome back. So it's actually been a couple days since I've last checked in with y'all, and here's where we're at with the stock. Now, I was originally going to bleach it to get it even lighter, but I think this is pretty good. I've still got some stuff right here I'm not 100% happy with. It just isn't coming out. But I think once we stain it down, put a coat of stain on it, that's gonna look pretty good. But before I work on that, the upper handguard needs some attention. So once all the oil's gone out of it, we now see that there are some problems. We got a crack up here we got to address. Goes all the way through, and then this front section here is super rotted. So, and there's another crack here. So the plan is, before I get started with anything, I've got some of this Type Bond 3 Ultimate Wood Glue. This is waterproof interior exterior. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, use a pick, and just get some in and just really work into these cracks really good to try to get into it and glue this section back on. And then once that's in, the other thing I'm going to use is this wood restorer. This stuff's used for actual rotted wood. It almost acts like an epoxy. It soaks into the wood and helps strengthen the wood itself. So I'm going to take some of this, and once I've got the wood glue in, I'm going to brush just a thin layer of it down here and a lot of it right here where it's real porous and rotted away, so the wood can it can soak into the wood and strengthen the wood. I'm going to take this, go put it outside in the sun, let it dry nice and good. I might go ahead and add a coat up here up top as well. But I might wait until after I stain this first, so that way it can soak in with the stain, and then this would be nice and strong, so I can chop off that little bit right there. Because if you look right here, you can see where the band actually comes up to on the stock, and then where it normally would be exposed. So I'm going to make sure it's nice and hard, and I'm just going to chop that right there. That's going to keep it from being able to snag on stuff and break it any further, and also give me a nice little cap to put more of that wood restore stuff into in order to actually strengthen it up. But otherwise than that, I'm pretty happy how it's turning out so far. It's just taking a really long time. This wood stripper stuff works really great. The problem I noticed with it, once you get everything stripped out and it has no more oil to strip out of the wood itself, it almost crystallizes on the wood in a white kind of crystal formation. It's a bit of a pain to get off. You got to wipe it off and stuff like that. Still kind of working on some of that. I might be taking the steel wool here and just trying to get more of that stuff off. But once you put some moisture on it, it does kind of disappear. So I think once we get the stain and the oil on it, it's going to not be noticeable anymore. So, okay, first off, we're going to let me get a container to put some of this wood glue on, so I can just kind of take it off that and then put it in. So, 1 second. All right, so we got, actually I don't want to put this down here, that's gonna drip. Oh, by the way, I'm probably, if I can find it again, I'll include a link in the description to this tub, because this tub has been great. It's survived all the harsh chemicals as well as the light stuff. So I get to keep using this thing, which is awesome, because containers like this are pretty hard to do. Now, here's the tricky part. You want to gently spread this wood apart here, just enough. You want to be able to get it in there, but you don't want to break the wood anymore. So we're just gonna just work some of that in there. Get some on the inside of this corner. Okay, now this top side. Now, mind you, the wood restore stuff I'm putting only on the inside. I'm not 100% sure how that stuff's going to react as far as absorbing the stain in the oil. That's why I really want to avoid putting it on the top. Okay, try to just work some more into these cracks here. It almost seems like the Valspar stuff, if you put too much of it on it for too long, like it actually almost eats the wood a little bit. So that's what I would be careful with. If you've got a stock that's already kind of rotted in a way, I would maybe avoid using that stuff. It was extremely caustic when I got it on my skin. Occasionally it did start burning relatively fast. I want to try to get this stuff all the way down. We're just going to try to work the joint so it kind of makes its way in there. Okay. We don't need to clamp it because it's already more or less kind of, the wood itself is creating clamping pressure. We're going to wipe that out like so. Yeah. Okay, so you can see there, got it pretty much into the crack there a little bit, and into the crack and stuff up there. So that is how that is. Now let's go up here. This section's going to be a little tricky as well. So we're going to try and pull this apart just enough to let us get in here. Okay. And this one I am not going to wipe off the excess right now. I'm going to go ahead and let that dry. I can trim off the excess with a razor afterwards. Now this crack over here, try to get some of this glue inside of here. Gonna be a little tricky, gonna have to more or less use the tip of the needle to try to get that inside of that crack. Okay, I'm just gonna kind of do it. Okay, let's wipe out this excess here if I can. Just blot it. Okay, it's not pretty, but it will work. Okay, now I'm going to find a container for this stuff here, which is really liquidy, so I have to find something to actually put it in, so I'll be right back. Alright, so I got a little bit of this stuff here inside of this container. This is why I always recommend to keep these little screw containers when you got projects. You never know when they're going to be useful. So like I said, I'm going to take this here. I got the little foam brush here, and I'm just going to hold it up here with my hands out of the way. I'm going to hold it down at an angle like so. And I'm just going to brush a layer of this stuff in all the way down. Now, the package does say remove all oils and stuff from the wood. I mean, it is what it is. Down here where it's really rotted, there's not a whole lot of oil in that section, so it should get in there pretty good. But I'm trying not to get any of this stuff on my hands. I'm out of my gloves. That pack I got right there, they're some I bought by accident a while back. They're too small. I know, my hands, some too small for my hands. I know, that's unimaginable, but you know, it is what it is. Just gonna be real gentle. Just putting this on here. I want a good coat right here where this joint is weak. I want to put some right there. Now, this stuff's supposed to soak into wood, so we'll see how well it does. I like these foam brushes for stuff like this because you can really control how much of the stuff you're using. The foam brush, yeah, it's kind of, stuff's actually kind of eating off what's left of the oil and cosmoline in here. I'm going to take a brush and just kind of see about wiping out some excess of this stuff here. Yeah, look at all that extra crap it gelled out. Okay, I'm gonna have to do some cleanup on this piece anyways. So, okay, so that's what I've got right now. I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna go set it out in the sun on the hood of my Jeep to let it dry, and then we'll get to staining on the stock. Alright guys, we're getting ready to stain. So I've got the Minwax wood finish penetrating stain. This is the red mahogany. I've got another little foam brush that's going to fit just good inside of here. I squeeze my hand inside of one of these tiny gloves, kind of. I mean, not really fitting, but you know, it is what it is. See, I think I've used red mahogany before on my Swedish Mauser stock way back when. I'm going to set this down over here. We're going to get just a little dip. Okay, and we're going to just I'm gonna have to wipe off the excess of this stuff because this stuff is going on a little darker than I thought it was going to. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and run a coat over the whole thing, grab a rag, and just start wiping it off. Let me get rags here. Be messier than I thought, but you know, it is what it is. That is a nice color. Yeah, I think one coat is all I'm gonna do. Probably have to do some more back here on the butt stock of it, just because of just the differences in the wood here. But I do like this color that we are developing here. It looks worn and antique. I like that. I like how it's not actually perfectly consistent either, all the way down. It looks a little bit more natural for a surplus stock like this. It's a little darker than I wanted, but I think it's gonna look real nice. Also, remember, it's gonna lighten up a little bit once it starts drying. So let me, really, this right here is what I really wanted, right here. Okay, so let me get this top section here also coated. I'm going to take this off here. Ooh, try not to spill it. Just take a little bit here and just nice healthy amount inside of the channel here, just to help protect it. Alright, let's wipe this off. Wipe off the excess on the surface here. Wipe this clean up here so we don't get any of those stains. Yeah, no, I'm liking the way that's coming out because it looks aged. It looks like it's been through some stuff. Okay, I'm going to keep wiping this down, and I'm going to maybe do some more back here on the stock, and then I'll check back with y'all with a little bit when I'm completely done adding the stain. Alright, so I've had the upper hand guard out in the sun for a good long while, and I've got it trimmed down. You can see here I trimmed it just a little bit. So now I'm going to go ahead and stain it. And just a little bit on the brush. I'm gonna get all of it. The bottom where I put that repair stuff probably is not going to take the stain at all, so I'm not even gonna bother. Get in here, get in here. Okay, set this off to the side. Now let's do some wiping. Now this one here is taking the stain differently than the the full stock is. You see down here, it's some white left. So I might have to do a couple coats on some of this. See, that stuff makes kind of like almost like a clear coat, a gloss coat on the bottom side. I still might put some up here on the top. It all depends. I might end up doing a couple more coats. I'm gonna have to go through back outside to where the stock's drying a couple times to try to match it. It's not gonna be perfect up here. Sometimes these upper handguards were made from different pieces of wood. Sometimes they were made from different types of wood occasionally. So sometimes it's next to impossible to get them to match super good. So I'm going to keep staining this, try to get match the main stock, and then when it's time to put on the linseed oil, I'll be back for that. So I'll see y'all in a few minutes. All right, guys. So I'm putting the last little coat on the stock here, which, as you can see, it's pretty much exactly where I wanted it, but I put a little bit thicker back here on these lighter spots that were giving me trum. And so I knew about this checkering pattern right here on the stock, which is hard to see in this lighting. But something else I didn't notice is right about here, there's something written. I can't tell what it is, but it's almost like it's been carved out right here, and then there's 2 or 3 lines of characters of some kind on there. I can't read it, but it is certainly something that is meant to be right there. So that's kind of a neat little thing. Now, unfortunately, we did lose the serial numbers, but the serial numbers were not really defined to begin with on this stock. So that's not that big a deal. But I think the stock is just about where I want it as far as the color and stain goes. I'm just waiting on that upper handguard. I'm having a lot of trouble trying to get to match this wood color. I think it is a different color of wood, a type of wood, because it just absorbed the stain way more than this stock did. And I had the stock out in the sun to kind of force any of the excess stain to kind of squeeze out of the wood as it heated up. And then now it's cooling back down, the wood's contracting. I'm getting a little bit that's coming out here and there. Could also still be some residual oils from inside of the wood. So I'm just kind of going through here. Now I let the stuff that I added on here just now, I actually added on and left it on there for a few minutes and just wiped it off. Just a very thin little coat. I'm still trying to get this really light stuff right here to match a little bit more. If it's going to be a little light, I guess that's okay. So I'm just putting a little bit on there and just doing a quick little wipe off. But I think that's about where I want to be as far as the color of the stock. So I'm going to set this off to the side. I'm going to keep messing with the handguard, trying to get the handguard to match this color. And then when I get as close as I can, then I'll be back for the linseed oil. So I'll see y'all in a little bit. All right, so we're back. I got this stripped again, mostly. Now I did something that it says not to do on top of the container here, and that is to dilute the which is leaking, but to dilute the stain. And basically what I did is I just took some rubbing alcohol, diluted it down. I've been doing tests here on the table here to see how light it's going to be. So I'm going to just do a real light coat, wipe it off, light coat, wipe it off, light coat, wipe it off. So let's see how this is going to go on here. Okay. Oh, we got a little spot here missed. Let's wipe it off. And I'll probably do a couple coats like this just so I can try to really control the color. I really don't want it to be too dark. Right now, this is mostly rubbing alcohol. Okay, so that's definitely better off to begin with right there. Okay, so I'm gonna go put this in the sun and let it dry, see how it stained out, and then go from there. I might put it just, no, I'm gonna go let this dry in the sun first and then see how this looks. So, we'll go from there. All right, so I think this is literally as close as I am going to get as far as color matching for the stain color, which I think that's pretty close. It's probably still going to darken up slightly once I put on the linseed oil, but I'm still letting the upper handguard dry out in the sun. But I am about to bring in the stock here, and I'm going to put on the first coat of linseed oil in a few minutes. So, all right, so here we are. I've got a small little thing of boiled linseed oil here. I'm going to do one really thin coat on the whole stock, and then hang it up to dry for 24, 48 hours, however long, you know. I'm doing just a very, very thin coat here. I'm wanting to keep that flat surplus wood stock look. So I'm going to be going real thin on the coat, then doing the 4/0 steel wool in between each coat. And then that's pretty much going to be it, you know. I'll do probably 2, maybe 3 coats. I'll see how what it looks like after each coat dries. But that's about the look that I'm wanting right there. That real worn, faded, not glossy, not too dark. But yeah, we're just gonna do just a nice even thin coat over the whole stock. So I will be doing all the rest of this here. Pretty much what I'm going to be doing is the next time y'all see me, we'll be putting the gun back together. So I will see y'all it's probably going to be a day or 2, to be honest. But I'll see y'all later. All right, so it's all back together. So what I'll have to say is the stock on this rifle, particularly the upper handguard, has been a pain in the ass, to put it lightly, this entire project. Now, this stock still isn't 100% dry, but with how humid it is here in South Texas, out in the garage, it was not going to dry out the rest of the way. So I had to bring it inside and let it dry in here where the AC acts as a dehumidifier, and it's far drier in here to draw up the last of the moisture in this stock. And it's probably still going to take days to weeks to completely dry out, and I may have to wipe out some more of the linseed oil here and there. This upper handguard, I'm convinced that it's a different type of wood from the main stock itself, just because it acts so much different. The stripper did a number on it, did quite a bit of damage to it. It took stain way too dark, made it too dark with stain, and then also it allowed the linseed oil darkened it up a lot. So what I finally ended up with is this right here. This is stripped, no stain, and one light coat of linseed oil that was then wiped off with rubbing alcohol to remove the linseed oil from the surface itself, and that's how I've got it the close it is. Now the wood is still super soft, so it's still moist. So the reason why I put it all back together is that way, as it dries, it's drying in where it's supposed to be, the shape. It's not going to warp or anything like that. A couple things that I still have left to do on here is the front 2 bands. I have to source a screw for this right here. And I may do something completely different as far as how it actually screws in. What I may do is I may find a screw that threads into this portion right here, screw it in and let it pop out this side here, just act as a pin to hold it in place, and then cut it flush. I think that's originally how it was supposed to be done, although I'm not 100% sure. And then I have to find a screw for this front handguard up here as well, and do the same thing. Now it does not have, okay, it is threaded on this side, so I just got to find one that fits and matches that thread. Not that big a deal. But everything else is on here. The wood still feels damp, even though it has been inside of the garage drying for a couple days. Well, a full day. I did go through with yesterday, and I took the rubbing alcohol, 70% rubbing alcohol, and I wiped the stock to get any surface linseed oil off of it, and it has worked quite well, to be honest. So it matches pretty good. It's not perfect, but it is what it is. Now the action, sticky, to be expected. Over 100 years old. It's not horrible. Definitely not the worst bolt gun. It's if I had to compare it to anything, I would say a really bad Mosin would be the level of that is. You just got to give it. It's not a slow whacker. You can't do it. You can do it slow, but it just makes more sense to put some authority into it. So, yeah, it is what it is. The sights aren't so bad. It is what it is. It is functional. Now, I'm probably not going to shoot this thing for a while. I am going to do a full review on the gun itself as it sits. I am in leagues talking to a company to provide some ammunition for this rifle. If that goes through, then it may be a couple weeks before I shoot this rifle. If not, it's probably still going to be a couple weeks. I'll just end up having to buy it. But they're the only company online that has a newly manufactured 8x50. Which is what this rifle takes. Now this slider here is loose. I think I literally have to bend it to tighten it up, but I haven't messed with it so much. I'm not going to be using this thing for volley fire, so honestly I don't really need the ladder. Now it's interesting enough, unlike a lot of later firearms, rifles and stuff like that, you don't have your base sight. You can't raise your base sight at all. So it's like the ladder is literally only for volley fire, and then you have one set 0 on that. And I do have to bend that out a little bit, but either way, the rifle looks 1,000 times better than it did when I received it. The bore is still completely trash. So we won't know how accurate the rifle is until I shoot some rounds through it and see kind of if they are going to be accurate at all. If this thing just throws flyers or keyholes, then I'll eventually get around to my plan B idea, which is eventually pulling this barrel off, shipping it off to a custom barrel producer like Centurion or something like that, and have them copy this exact same barrel, but in 7.62x54R. That way I can use 7.62x54R in the rifle and be able to shoot it more regularly. But besides that, yeah, it's done. It's done as it's gonna be right now. I am still got, like I said, I still got the review coming up for this rifle as well. But all in all, I've got maybe a solid 6 days into the whole project. If I put everything together, how much time I physically have actually been working on the gun. You know, an hour for the disassembly. I took a couple hours, or about an hour, to do all the cleanup on the stock, on the metal pieces, and then rebluing them and stuff like that. You know, and then of course the stock took the longest because first of all, it took days, literal days, multiple days to get most of the cosmetic and stuff out of the stock to begin with. And then, you know, it took me days of fiddling around with the upper handguard to get it somewhat matching. I mean, it's still not perfect, but you know, it looks pretty close. It's probably still gonna lighten up a little bit more as it dries, but we're just gonna have to see. You know, I really don't know where it's gonna go so far, as far as actually drying out and whatnot. We'll see. But anyways, guys, that's it. The restoration is done, except for the barrel. We can't talk about the barrel. Ignore that. But otherwise than that, it looks done. It is finished. It looks really nice. And to be honest, really the only thing that is really, you know, telling on it, it's being really tore up is the bolt head. You can see the pitting on the bolt head. And then if you look inside of the barrel, you can see how bad the bore is. But otherwise than that, if you don't look at those two specific things from the outside with it closed, it looks like a relatively nice rifle, to be honest. There's not any heavy pitting on the receiver or on the bolt handle, anything like that. Most of the sights, everything looks good. There's no heavy pitting on the barrel and stuff outside of the inside of the stock. There is some on the inside of the stock, but that's not visible. The bands don't really have much. The butt plate isn't too bad. Overall, this is a really good representation of what you can hope to get from Royal Tiger Imports when you order one of these B-grade rifles. The only thing that, like I said, is really bad on this rifle is the bore itself. Can't do anything about that. It is what it is. But the rest of this looks fantastic. Will it shoot? Yes, I'm quite confident that this gun will reliably and safely shoot. Is it going to be accurate? I don't know. I honestly have no idea whether it's going to be accurate or not. We'll just have to see when I get it out to the range in a couple weeks. Anyways, guys, if y'all want to see a video of me redoing the wood on my FAL, my Israeli FAL, I'm contemplating pulling off the wood and giving it the same treatment that I did with the stock here. Partly because it's got a ton of cosmoline in the buttstock and the handguards aren't so bad, but it sweats oil when it's in the heat in the sun, and it makes it to where it's kind of unpleasant to shoot because you're getting all oily and stuff like that. So I may pull that gun apart and do the exact same thing on that rifle in order to clean it up as well. We'll have to see. I don't know if I am or not yet, but it could happen. I may not film it, to be honest, just because y'all saw a lot of that exact same process with this rifle. I don't think it's gonna be necessary to film that. But anyways, guys, thank y'all for watching. If you have any comments of anything else you want me to restore in the future, let me know if there's something out there that you would like to see. And I'll see if I can get my hands on it. And we'll go from there. Please check out RTI. Like I said, they're a great company. They have lots of cool stuff. Got some cool stuff in just recently, parts kit, stuff like that. And I'm hoping to work with them in the future on some more of these restoration builds. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time. Here, hopefully in this week with some more reviews. Y'all have a good one.